morning. Let's go right to the man at the top of the Republican pack here in New Hampshire, Donald Trump, who joins me by the phone. Mr. Trump, thanks for joining us.
Good. Thank you, Jake.
Let's start with last night's debate. A lot of pundits and analysts say you did well, Christie did well. A lot of them also seem to think that Marco Rubio had a rough night. What did you make of his performance?
Well, I don't want to criticize anybody. I know he had the one moment where he would repeat about Obama, and, after 4 times, that was a lot. And so that was a little bit. But, I'm not one to comment on somebody else's performance. I was really happy with the way it came out from my standpoint.
You seem to be not as critical of your rivals as you have been in the past. I mean, there are criticisms you made about Jeb Bush, about Ted Cruz being afraid of attacking you, but generally you seem to be holding your fire a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I'm trying to be a nice person. I am a nice person. I've had good relationships with many people over the years, and politics is an interesting thing. I've been doing this for 7 months, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. But much more importantly, my whole theme is make America great again. That's what we have to do. We have to make America great again, and I'm really enjoying it. I love New Hampshire. It's, I've been here many times prior to the electoral process, but I've really loved New Hampshire and the people of New Hampshire for a long period of time, and I seem to be connecting with them, I hope.
I want to follow up on a question and answer from last night. You said, quote, I would bring back waterboarding, and I would bring back a hell of a lot worse than waterboarding. Now, as I understand it, the law, as amended in 2006, bans treatment of a captured enemy that causes, quote, serious and non-transitory mental harm, which need not be prolonged. It calls it cruel and inhumane, and it makes it punishable as a war crime, and this includes waterboarding, according to the authors of the act. How would you bring it back if it is currently a war crime under U.S. law?
Well, I'd go through a process and get it declassified, frankly, and I would certainly waterboarding at a minimum, the chopping off heads of Christians and many other people in the Middle East. They're chopping heads off. They laugh at us when they hear that we're not going to approve waterboarding, and then they'll have a James Foley and others where they cut off their heads. And, you can say what you want. I have no doubt that it does work in terms of information and other things, and maybe not always, but nothing works always. But I have no doubt that it works. But more importantly, when they're chopping off the heads of people, and innocent people in most cases, beyond waterboarding is fine with me.
You've enjoyed some big leads in the polls here in New Hampshire for many months. You're still on top of the polls. Is Tuesday must win after the loss in Iowa?
There wasn't a loss. I came in second, and I only came in second because of the fact that Cruz took a lot of votes away from Carson that should not have been taken away. I mean, he's apologized, but I don't know what comes of that. Let's see what happens. But that was the only reason I came in second. So I came in second out of the original 17 candidates. I don't consider that a loss, Jake, and I probably came in first in actuality.
Okay, but do you need to win here in New Hampshire, you think?
Well, I hope to win. I don't know. I don't think so. I came in second. I picked up a lot of delegates, and, I picked up one less than Cruz, and maybe that gets turned over. Who knows what's going to happen? But I picked up a lot of delegates in Iowa, and in New Hampshire, I think I'm going to do very well. I have a great relationship between the vets and all of the people in New Hampshire. They just seem to be very positive for me. They know me for a long time, and they're great people. I think I'm going to do very well in New Hampshire. But no, I don't think I want to win New Hampshire, but I don't think I have to win it, no.
You mentioned Ted Cruz taking votes from Ben Carson at the debate last night. You've talked about it on the trail. You've also talked about that voter form, the voter shaming document that Cruz sent out that the Iowa Secretary of State criticized him for. Are you driving at a larger criticism of Ted Cruz, or are these just tactics you take issue with? Are you saying that there's something about him that is being revealed by these tactics?
Well, I think the voter violation form, which looked like it came from the IRS, I mean, it looked like it came from a government agency, was a fraud. But I'm not thinking about that right now. I'm thinking only of New Hampshire and the people of New Hampshire. I'm going to be here all for the next 3-4 days, and I'm going to love it. And then we're going to go to South Carolina, and I was there 2 nights ago. We had 12,000 people in a stadium that was amazing. It was like an amazing evening in Florence. And we had, I think we're going to do well there. And we're pretty much doing well everywhere. So I just, the press, hey, look, the theme is Make America Great Again. And everybody wants it. And they want to see intelligence. They want to see good deals, not bad deals. We don't win anymore. And I tell it all over. I mean, we don't win anymore as a country. We don't win on trade. We don't win on war. We don't win with ISIS. We don't win on health care. And we're going to start winning again. And people see that, and they like it. That's what they want.
After Iowa, you said you didn't have much of a ground game in that state and that you would fix that in New Hampshire. The Wall Street Journal today is reporting that you're still relying a great deal on your star power and not as much on a data-driven voter targeting and get out the vote effort. Could that be a mistake?
Well, if you think about Iowa, and, I didn't know the term ground game too much, and I think, we had a ground game, maybe not the greatest ground game, but I did get more votes than anybody in the history of the Republican caucus other than one, because, the voters, number one, we had 50,000 people more voting. But my second place finish, which was substantially second place, I mean, Rubio wasn't that close, and my second place finish, which again I say was first place, but my second place finish had more votes than anybody in the history of that whole thing, that includes everybody other than Cruz. And, Rubio came in third, and by 2,000, more than 2,000 votes back. That's a lot, as you know, with the numbers in Iowa, that's a lot. And everybody said how great he did, and I didn't. And I'm trying to say I'm not even a politician. I just started being a politician 7 months ago, if I can call myself a politician, which I'd rather not. So I think we did great in Iowa. And I don't call that a loss. I mean, coming in second, a lot of governors and senators that came in way behind would have liked to have come in second, that I can tell you. So I don't think you can really call that a loss. Do you think?
One of these, I think, if you're actually asking my opinion, I think one of the issues might have been the expectations game, where you were leading in the polls, in several polls, and people thought you were going to win Iowa, then. You're right. Second place is much better than every other place except for first.
Well, but then I can't help the expectations. Hey, Jake, I spoke to you, and you asked me, you're going to win. I said, I don't know. Now, I will say this with Iowa. I will say that it's very tough to poll caucuses. It's a very different ballgame. Whereas in New Hampshire, you're going to go in and vote, and I think it's much different. And I think it's also a different kind of a ground game. It's not the same kind of a ground game. But look, all I can do is I think I did really well at the debate. Most people said I won the debate. Almost everybody said I won the debate last night. I mean, we had a very, we had a good debate, and that was very important for me. I think if I would have had a poor debate performance, that would not have been good.
In New Hampshire, it's interesting, of course, independents are the biggest political group here, and they can vote in either the Democratic or the Republican primary. And for that reason, you and Bernie Sanders, in some ways, are both competing hard for some of the same independent voters. Are you surprised that you're competing with Bernie Sanders? And what's your message to those independent voters who might be trying to decide between you and the Vermont senator?
Well, it's very interesting that you say that, because the one thing we very much agree on is trade. We both agree that we're getting ripped off by China, by Japan, by Mexico, by everybody we do business with. The difference is I can do something about it. I'm going to renegotiate those trade deals and make them good. And believe me, they're going to be really good. I've got the greatest people in the world. I have Carl Icahn endorse me, the great businessman. I have many other great businessmen are endorsing me or have endorsed me. And I will tell you, we will make them good. Bernie can't do anything about it because it's not his thing. He won't be able to do anything about it. I'll create absolute gold out of those deals, whereas right now we're losing tens of billions and even hundreds of billions of dollars. I will create gold, and Bernie will just talk about how bad they are.
You said this week, quote, I'm a unifier, and you said you would bring the country together if you won. A lot of people out there might have a difficult time believing that, given how divided the nation has been about your candidacy. How will you bring the nation together? How will you unify the nation, especially after some of the things you've said about citizens that many have found objectionable?
Well, I am a unifier, and our current president is an absolute divider. He's a very divisive person, and you look at the way the country is so divided. people are going to be shocked to see we will bring the country together. I'm going to bring jobs from China, from Japan, from Mexico, from Vietnam. We're losing so much of our so much of our business, so many of our jobs. And we're also now starting to lose companies. I don't know if you read where Pfizer is leaving, and great companies are leaving because their taxes are so high. And I will be able to change and stem that tide very quickly. I know exactly what to do. These politicians don't know what to do, and that's why the people are on my side. Politicians don't know what to do, Jake. They don't have a clue. When I say we're going to strengthen the border and we're going to build a wall, last night a couple of guys said, we're going to build a wall. It's the first time I ever heard anybody say that. Now they're all saying, we're going to build a wall. First of all, they wouldn't even know how to build a wall. They wouldn't get it. Their wall would be 5 feet high. We're going to build a real wall, and it's going to be done not at our cost. It's going to be done at somebody else's cost, and you know who I'm talking about. And it's going to be done. They make a fortune on us, and we are going to build a wall, and we're not going to pay for it.
Last question, sir. I'm just wondering, has this experience of running for president, so different from anything you've done before, has it changed you in any way?
Well, perhaps it has. I've learned a lot. I'll tell you what I have learned. The people in this country are amazing. They're great. When I go to these rallies and I meet the people that are, supporting me, they're incredible. And my level of support, it's sort of interesting. You do the polls all the time. The people that are with me are with me. They're with me through thick and thin. These are great people. But the people of our country are great people. There's no reason to have Apple in China making their computers. We're going to try bringing Apple back here so that we can make the computers in this country. We have amazing people, and it's sad to see all of this product, all of these things being made, in other countries. We're going to get it back here. We're going to bring it back here. The other countries, and in particular China, they devalue their currency. They do all sorts of games and tricks that make it very tough for companies like Apple to do it here. But we're going to bring companies, and we're going to bring the jobs back here where they belong. And we're going to do it big league. And people know that, and people see that. In addition to the military and the vets and all of the other things that we're going to do, and healthcare, we're going to repeal Obamacare, replace it. We have so many things to do. It's going to be so exciting. We can make, the theme being, we can make it great again. We can make our country great again. I honestly believe that if we do it now, we can make it greater than ever before.
Donald Trump, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you on the campaign trail. Good luck on Tuesday.